Hi everyone! This is the second tie-break Blitz game of the 2019 Sinquefield Cup between Magnus Carlsen and Liren. Liren won the first Blitz game on time with the pawn advantage in ending, so Magnus needs to win this game to force this match into a tie-break. I play d4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, bishop a4, knight f6, castle, bishop e7, d3, b5, bishop b3, d6, c3. Preparing to play d4 later, knight a5, bishop c2, c5, d4, c takes d4, c takes d4, and Ding played castle. So when I was looking at this game, like, why not just take the pawn on e5? It looks free. We'll see. D takes e5, queen takes d8, rook takes d8, knight takes e5, bishop b7, and white has many choices. White can play knight c3, but after b4, removing the defense of the e4 square, knight e2, rook a c8, threatening to take the bishop on c2, bishop to d1, then knight takes e4, and black's forces are more dynamic than white's. What about knight d2? Still protecting the e4 pawn. Rook a c8, threatening to take the bishop on c2, bishop b3, knight takes b3, knight takes b3, knight takes e4. Bishop to e3, developing your bishop, bishop f6, threatening to take the knight on e5, and after f4 to protect the knight, black can play rook c2, and black's rook on c2 is ready to wreak havoc against white's pawns on the second rank. What about f3? f3 looks logical because you're defending the e4 pawn with the other pawn. So after rook a c8, let's go with bishop d1 as a blunder because it just hangs the bishop. Knight c3, and what do you do with a pinned piece? You attack it. Then if the white knight moves, then you just take the bishop on c2. And bishop d3, bishop c5 check, king h1, bishop d4, threatening to take the knight on e5, knight g4, knight takes g4, f takes g4, and black has a wonderful tactic, rook takes c1, rook takes c1, bishop takes b2, forking white's rooks. And in this, bishop d2 is white's best move, and it's challenging to see this one. b4, a3, rook d to c8, threatening to take the bishop on c2, bishop d1, knight takes e4, a takes b4, knight takes d2, knight takes d2, and bishop takes b4. Black has some lead in development, but if white can activate its knight on d2 and move its bishop on d1 to a more active square, then white will be fine. So in the game, white didn't take the pawn on e5. Instead, white played h3. Prophylactic move to prevent black from playing bishop g4, pinning to pin the knight on f3. Okay. So Ding played rook e8. Now, if white decides to take the pawn on e5, black can just take it back with the pawn. Then after queen takes d8, bishop takes d8, the rook on e8 is defending the e5 pawn. So here Magnus played d5, gaining space in the center. Bishop d7, knight c3, queen b8, clearing the way for black's rook to go to c8, and also black will be able to maneuver his bishop from d8 to b6. Okay, so here black has a bad bishop. By definition, a bad bishop is a bishop that has the same color as your pawns, especially the central pawns. And there are 3 ways you can do to deal with your bad bishop. Number 1 is to trade it. Trade it with against your opponent's pieces with the same or better, more points than your bishop. Number 2 is to move it out of your pawn chain, just like what Ding did in his game. He played bishop d8 to b6. And the last one is move your pawns on the opposite color of your bad bishop. But here, the e5 and d6 is challenging to move because they're locked. Okay, so here, black played queen b8, white played bishop d3, then rook c8. Rooks belong to an open file, knight e2. White is transferring the knight to g3, knight b7. Now, relocating the knight to c5, black wants to play the knight to c5 and g4, gaining some space advantage on the king side. Knight c5, threatening to take the e4 pawn. Knight g3, defending it, and knight takes d3. And this is when I was looking at the game, I think, wow, like, why I have to ask myself, why would black exchange a perfectly placed knight on c5 against white's inactive and bad bishop on d3? But when you look at this game, after black is able to exchange the knight against white's light squared bishop, now look at black's light squared bishop. It's going to be unopposed. It's going to rule the light squares. So knight takes d3, queen takes d3, b4, intending to put the bishop or the queen to b5. Rook e1, getting out of the harm's way because black is threatening to do an x-ray. Queen b5, queen d1. Since Magnus is trying to win, keeping the queen on the board to prepare for kingside attacks is his chance to create complications. Rook c7, preparing to double on the c-file. Bishop to e3, rook ac8, knight d2, aiming to relocate the knight to c4. g6, stopping the white knight from going to f5. b3, creating an outpost for the knight on d2. Queen b7, clearing the b5 square for its bishop. Knight c4, bishop b5, threatening to take the knight on c4. Knight a5, threatening to take the queen on b7. Queen b8, queen d2, threatening to take the black's pawn on b4. Rook c3, blocking white's queen. a3, b takes a3, and knight c6. White is threatening to take the queen and also threatening to take the bishop on e7. And there are many moves for black here, and the worst one is queen b7 to defend the bishop on e7, but this hangs the rook on c3. What about rook 3 takes c6? And after b takes c6, black bishop takes c6. White has to be careful because if white just defends this pawn on e4 passively, black has this wonderful d5 break and trying to open up the position because white's king on the king side, the white pawns on the king sides are weak. So after he takes d5, knight takes d5, planning to x-ray the queen on d2 and the rook on e1, and rook e to c1, queen takes b3, threatening to take the bishop on e3, and knight f1, defending the bishop on e3. And here, after queen b7, black has a nice battery with the black's queen and light squared bishop along the a8 to h1 diagonal. So here, white has this nice move, bishop g5, to just slow down, to prevent black from taking the e4 pawn. And the position, I think, is still unclear. So in the game, Ding played bishop takes c6, queen takes c3, bishop takes d5, queen a5, bishop takes e4, g5, removing the defense of the bishop on e4. And now Ding has this nice move, bishop a8, planning to create a battery with the queen on b7 to checkmate the king on, to checkmate white's king. So here, this is already a hard position to defend, especially in Blitz, and I think Magnus has less time here than Ding. And here Magnus played queen takes a6. And the only move when I check this one in the computer is g takes f6. And let's say queen b7, threatening to checkmate white with one move, king f1, planning to go to king e2, queen g2 check, king e2, queen f3 check. And this should be a draw if white plays king f1. But if, for example, white gets ambitious with king d2, bishop d8, threatening to take the queen on a5, queen b4, queen d5 check, king e2, rook c2 check. And if king f1, then that's game, queen g2. And here white needs to cover, but after a5, removing the defense of the bishop on d2, white is winning. So here the correct move is king f1 and rook. Black should just play queen g2 and repeat moves, perpetual check. But if black, for example, moves the rook to c2, and because he wants to win, then white has this nice move, rook e c1, or even rook e2, then just clearing that e1 square for the king. So after black queen goes to g2, king to e1, let's say queen to g1, knight covers, bishop to g2, threatening to take the knight, rook takes, queen takes f1, that's x-ray, but white has this king d2 move, queen takes a1, and it's a nice finish for white, rook c8, bishop f8, rook takes f8, king takes f8, and queen d8, checkmate. So it should be a draw after white plays king f1, black should just play queen g2 and give repeat moves. So in the game, Magnus played queen takes a6. Then Ding played knight d5, bishop a7, threatening to take the queen on b8, queen c7, rook c1, and queen takes c1, rook takes c1, rook takes c1 check, king h2. And if white plays here, then black has this knight c7 and discovered attack against the white king and white's queen on a6. So king h2 is forced, bishop c6, ensuring that the bishop is defended by the black rook, queen takes a3, bishop takes g5. At the same time, you're getting the pawn back at the same time you are defending the rook on c1. So queen takes d6, another mistake. Stockfish recommended this move, knight e2, and after rook e1, threatening to take the knight, white can play queen takes d6, threatening to take the bishop, knight e7, defending the bishop on c6, queen takes e5, threatening to take the bishop on g5, knight f5, covering white's threat or blocking white's threat, f3, bishop e7, threatening to pin white's knight on e5, bishop f2, threatening to take the rook on e1. Okay, and black has a nice move here, rook h1. Oh no, bishop d6 first, Then queen takes d6, rook h1, king takes, bishop takes f3, king h2, and knight takes d6. And at least here, black only has a pawn lead. So rook e1, knight e2 was the correct move, but Magnus played queen takes d6, bishop f4, bishop c5, threatening to checkmate the black king with one move, with queen f8, and knight e7. It's a beautiful move, opening up this diagonal, so black is threatening to go to h1. It's a checkmate, and the knight on g3 cannot take the rook on h1 because it's pinned. And here, white resigned. And okay, let's go. Let's summarize this one. What are the lessons to learn in this one? When you study your opening, know your plans and figure out the reason why you put your pieces in a square. There are 3 ways you can deal if you have a bad bishop. Exchange it against your opponent's pieces. Move it out of your pawn chain. Move your pawns on the opposite color of your bad bishop. And number 3 is know your tactics to improve your calculation. And thank you guys. Do not forget to press the like button, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment on what you think about this video, share this to your friends and post it to your social media. And you can also review this game at Lichess, and I'm gonna post the link below. And thank you for watching, and please come back again for the next show.